Hello again, back in the garage. What I'm doing at the moment, after the rally I had, which was last weekend, last weekend, I went first, second, first again, which is devastating because I don't know what the engine revved to. I've got to plug the laptop in and find out, but yeah, I've done it a few times now. It's my fault, it's not the car's fault. So, what I've done is taken the gearbox out. I've taken it out a different way this time. I've actually got the gearbox on the floor here. This is the one I've just taken out. That's a 15G 6-speed dog box, which is quite brutal, but it's built for the Sierra RS500. When they start getting big power, I think it can handle up to 600 horsepower, which is way more than it's going to see with me. But negative side is it is heavy. That is really heavy. It doesn't look heavy, but it really is. So what I've got now is exactly the same gearbox, but it's got sequential. Something in that top bit makes it sequential. So the gear stick just goes forward and back rather than H pattern. So I'm guessing, unless I pull it the wrong way, I shouldn't go into the wrong gear. With this one, I keep going first, second, first, and I've had the gear stick lengthened. That is a bit that's been added on, top bit, and bent. So it was heated up and bent, purely because the gear stick was too far forward. But as you can see, comparing it to the other gearbox, they're both sort of lined up in the same place. The other gear stick is even higher and about the same place where I had this one fitted. So it's going to be in the right place, which is good. Yeah, I left the bell housing on the car and just undid. It's got 4 quick release bolts. It's got the same here. So this bell housing is for a Vauxhall XE engine. The sequential was going into the white car when the Vauxhall built, which one Andy will be driving. But I thought, I'll have that. I'll put that in my car and he can have the arm numbing 15G. So hopefully the release bearing is going to be where I left it. I'll have a check now, and if it is, I'll just take this bell housing off and slide this in, hopefully. I've had to drop the exhaust to get this out, disconnect the prop, but it didn't take long at all. It's quite an easy job. If it slides back in with the release bearing, I'll be well chuffed. So I'll give that a go now. Right, this is the bell housing. I'm under the car now. Everything looks like it's where it should be. Hopefully, it's just a case of line it up, slide the box in, ready to go. This is the adapter plate I made. That's a BMW bell housing of an automatic BMW. And then I made this out of 12mm steel, but I probably could have done with aluminium because it is a bit weighty, but it's only fractional compared to the weight of the gearbox. So let's try and slide it back in. I could do with getting it's a bit tight under there. The gearbox out there. Exhaust tunnel out the way. I've got the back box off, so it's just this tube. I'll give it a go, see if we can get it off. It'll make life a bit easier. Right, I've taken the Vauxhall bell housing off, the sequential, and I have noticed a difference. This one's got a shaft, a sleeve on the input shaft, whereas that's got something on the bell housing. So I don't know if that will just slide out and pop into there, but I need that for the release bearing to line up on. So I like the idea of that though, because that makes it a lot easier without anything moving when you take the box out. I might have to look into my bell housing and see if I can do something like that. Right, this is the one that I've just taken out of the car, and it's got this sleeve that the release bearing sits on. This one has got it on the bell housing. So what I've decided to do is see if I take this off, there's Allen keys holding it on, see if the sleeve comes off with it. Then I can swap those over, and this will be fine for that bell housing and to go onto the Vauxhall engine, and this one will have this tube on, so it will go onto this car. I don't know if it'll work, but I'll give it a go and see. Right, the lighting's a bit poor and the space is a bit restricted, so yeah, it's not the most professional videos. I've managed to get these Allen keys out. Looks like sealant at the top. Once I started taking them out, I could smell the gearbox oil. Not my favourite smell. So, luckily, as you take that off, that is all one piece. So I don't know why it's different on the other one, but in theory, this one can come off and go on there, and then this one can go on there. So everything lines up as it should. I'm going to put some more sealant on these, just because I don't really want any fluid coming out this end, well, anywhere really. So I'll put some sealant on them, do them up, and then I can put the XE bell housing on this box, put it to one side for when the other engine's ready, and this one can go back in the car. I can get the car moving again. Right, it's a bit hard to see down there, but the sequential bit on the gearbox is wider than the top of the gearbox tunnel. So you're allowed to do localised modifications to fit the gearbox into the tunnel. So what I was going to do is try and get the gearbox into the mounted into the engine and jack it up as high as it will go, because this is tapered, so it will go up so far. Then it'll be close to the top. I can see exactly where I need to cut for it to fit into the right place, and then I can put the gearbox mount on underneath, and I know the heights that the wide bit will be sticking up then, because I'm going to have to make a steel plate that goes over here to isolate it all and carry on being a gearbox tunnel. So I've taken off the bias valve, which wasn't connected anyway, disconnects all the cabling, hydraulic handbrake, that's just on the cables, and extinguisher. I've loosened this. I don't know how far forward it's going to go. I've taken the screws off here, but I think the weight of the dash is on that, so I'll have to jack it up somehow. So now I've got to get under the car, see if I can get the gearbox into the sprocket bearing on the flywheel, get it through the release bearing. That way it'd be good if I could bolt it all up, but I might have to loosen the engine mounting so that the engine can tilt a bit. We'll see. We'll go down there and have a look. I've pulled the gearbox back out again now. I'm having a right nightmare trying to get it in. It's just too wide at the top, and I don't want to just be cutting out bits and pieces. So I've taken the bell housing off. So I'll see if it's easy to get into place without the bell housing there. Also, this is where the gearbox bolts onto the bell housing, and I don't know how far you can see. I need to remove the steel. That one's a bit hard to see, but yeah, there's no gap on that one at all. So I need to drill them out, because if the bolts are too long, they're just going to hit the steel. I need to make sure they'll be able to go through rather than pushing against it. So I'll do that now, because I should have done that a while ago. Right, that's 3 of them. The bolts do actually go through, so I've tried them. 2, 3. It's just the other one, it's right under there. And I don't really want to take that out to weaken the bell housing. So I think I'll just leave that one with the short bolt in it. Right, see if the gearbox will fit in now. Alright, we're onto the car now. And yeah, this is the gearbox tunnel. I'm going to have to bring the gearbox forward a bit. We are seriously tight on space down here. We've got a little bit of wobble room. Hopefully, I've got to get it up at the front. To engage with the, to try and get the front to go forward more. So it's so heavy. I've got jacks and I've got a bit of wood on the front of the gearbox track because it keeps wobbling and falling off, and it's really heavy. It's really heavy to get back on there. Plus I'm old. Right, let's keep going. I've got to get it in. Right, I've got the boxes attached to the engine now. So that's got to come up a bit more yet. Probably about 2 inches, 50mm. So what I'm going to do is put the bolts on the top of the gearbox. I've only put the bottom bolts on because they're a lot easier when the angle of the gearbox is down a bit. I can get above the gearbox to do it. Put those in, then I'll put the gearbox mount on it so I can jack it up to, I know it's going to be right height then. Then I can start putting the starter motor back in, all the other bits and pieces, prop shaft, and yeah, then make a cover for this. We're in. We've got the gearbox bolt to the engine and the gearbox bracket underneath the gearbox supporting it. I'm going to do a little bit more trimming around here just because this is going to move. Nice position for the gear stick. I've got no idea what gear it's in. There's a display that will tell you what gear you're in. I'll have to go on the dash. Did have a little bit of a collateral damage. There's a plunger that goes in this hole. That's just to stop the mud from getting in there. To stop you putting into neutral when you're driving, in case you don't think you're in first and keep going. So the idea is you pull this up when you want to go in neutral, and then you pull it up and push it forward, I think, and you go into reverse. Yeah, when I was trying to put the gearbox in, it rolled over, and the cable comes out the top of the plunger, and it's got like a 90-degree bend on it. That snapped. So I should be able to get a replacement of those easy enough. Now I've got to cut these edges back and then make a lid for it, because yeah, I've got to seal it all off. I want to like fix it properly so it's got some strength to it, and I've done the start. Oh no, I've got the start mode to do, which is horrible. The gearbox bolts were horrible. So I'm just going to put the starter motor in, put the exhaust on, and that's me. I should be able to drive it then. Prop shafts on. Then it's make a top for it, seal it up. I'm not sure when my next rally is. I think it's 2 weeks. So I need to drive it about, check the oil level, and I've tried the clutch. Feels like it works. I'll find out more when we start the engine up. I don't want to take that gearbox out again. Right, well, we're definitely moving forward. This was a nightmare, the weight of it. If I had a 2-poster ramp and a gearbox jack on a post, I think life would have been so much easier. But it's in. And, you know, I do a bit now and a bit then, and it all sort of adds up. If I'd just done it in a day, it probably wouldn't be so bad.